Right, hi guys, welcome back to City Skylines, and this is a bit of an unusual one-off episode. So, of course, normally we're playing on the stream, and I don't want to go showing the rest of the city because we're still in the building phase of that, and this video is it precedes some further updates to the city, so I don't obviously want to show off the whole city and spoil it for those of you who just watch on YouTube. But I do need to update you about some changes that are going to be happening. So I took a pretty big risk this week, and it's paid off. I added in a load new mods and a ton of assets. Now, there was a pretty big risk there that could potentially have broken the game, but don't worry, I did back up the save file, and it shouldn't have been an issue anyway, even if I did sort of have an issue there. But it's always good to create a backup if you're going to test something, because you just never know what's going to happen, right? So it's all in, and it's working, so that's fine. Risk paid off. It's really good. The only downside, it takes me twice as long to load the mission file now. But other than that, everything's good. It's all working. I've got it paused right now because I just don't want things rolling on. Basically, let's just go through some of the changes that we've brought in. Now, some of these are going to be technical, mechanical changes and assets. Some of them are mods that you guys have been telling me that I should get for a long time, and I kind of meant to and then never did. So things like precision engineering, things like move it, some other little elements and bits and pieces, some zoning tools, the find thing down here in the menu you can see, so I can use that to find objects. This thing right here, which is advanced vehicle options. I also got the advanced public transportation options, and there's a range of other tools that I've got. Like there's a policy area thing. So for example, if we go policies and then themes, so you can basically enable, I probably won't do it for this build, but for the future, theme management, and that enables you to basically, per zone, manage what themes are allowed within that zone. So that means you could have a zone which is specifically, like, a European style or whatever. So you could have different themes for different towns and villages, basically. So you can have a village out somewhere which has a totally different theme to everywhere else, right? Now, another thing you'll notice is I'm changing up the theme of the roads. This is obviously a big step forward, and it's a big change up. Now, I particularly like the US road style, but again, maybe in the future I'll do a very specific UK build. That would be an interesting one. But for now, on this map anyway, I think that the US style works really well. So we've got, because the yellow lines, I really like the look of that. I think it's really, really nice, and the decals for sort of turning zones is good. Also, you can see I've changed it up so that we now have US style traffic lights. Again, if you're going to have a US road theme, what the hell are these trees doing here? I've noticed this a little while actually, that some of the trees have started to like spawn in, and they seem to just ignore the roads. They just spawn wherever the hell they like. So look, it's happening here in the heavily forested areas. This is not obviously anywhere else, but that's fine. We just need to keep an eye on it. We'll just manage it. They're growing through the roads, but no problem, right? And also this one right here, if I was being really OCD, like, those trains are not going to get through there with that tree there, so we'll move him out of the way. So yeah, and this guy as well, look. Now, the main thing that I really want to sort of talk about is that I think look at this guy right here, smack bang in the middle of the road. What's up with that? So yeah, one of the main things I want to talk about there is my sort of feeling and idea. I love, designing and making things. What is going on here? It's tree apocalypse right now. I love designing and building and making things. So much tweaking. This is what I'm talking about. So basically my idea is that, maybe every one stream, because usually per stream we do like maybe 4 episodes of the Skylines build. So what I'm thinking is that I know that people are probably going to want to watch this on the stream, but I actually think it'll be better for me to create like a kind of beautifications highlight, right? So what I would do is, I'm just going to be tree fixing for ages now, look. What I would do is I would go around and I would add beautification elements. I would make some small tweaks and things, generally to aesthetics only. So not building roads, not building Rico stuff, not building anything. Rico is just obviously residential, industrial, commercial, etc. So not doing any of that kind of stuff, alright? What it would be is just aesthetic elements, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with what I've done. One aesthetic update on this map, really. I've done like a couple of small tweaks actually. I'll show you two things that I've done, 2 things which won't spoil anything for you, and we'll just show you what I'm talking about, right? Because I've been just playing around and seeing like, hey, what can we do with this stuff? So for example, let's just get into other things. So let's first of all, let's look at the move it. So Move It is a really, really good tool. Move It is a very, very fine tuning tool. So what it enables you to do is move around elements which you have already placed. So if you, for example, hover over, right, okay, and if you just press M, that turns it on and off. If you just hover over a road, you can see you have the ability to tweak junctions which already exist, which is amazing. You can also tweak like these sort of highway on-ramps. See, just give them a little touch, just get them smoother. Now the other problem, remember how we always have this issue with stepping, where these highway ramps do not step kind of appropriately, and that's always been really annoying. Well, again, if you click on the nodes, you can really fine tune this, you see. So you can look at the lie of the whole thing. Now you don't have to do it on just one either, you can select two nodes and do them together. So if you wanted to adjust like a whole thing, you could do that, right? And then if you want, you just right click off of it, click back on this, just tweak it a little bit further, right? So you can make these really, really fine custom changes to things. And again, you can go as far as, you know, moving a whole junction around if you wanted to tweak your roundabouts. And then you can also just Control Z that, which is really, really good. So other things are, for example, this. Okay, so this is our new Fine Road Anarchy. I think I might just actually run you guys through a list of some of the changes that I brought in, so some of the mod changes I brought in. So I'm just going to run you straight down the list. So we've got, let's just go through. So the eye candy thing, Ultimate Eye Candy, I'll show you that in a minute. Network skins, Precision Engineering I put in. Decals, and then we've got the decal hover area on there, the Find It tool, the roads as we've looked at, so that's Roads United. Fine Road Anarchy, which is this tool right here. I'll just explain a little bit about that in a moment. What else have we got going on? Prop Precision, the Improved Public Transport, one-way tracks, Move It, which we're looking at there as well. Put some Softer Shadows mod on there, Fine Road tools, Prop Line tools, multi-station, multi-track station, Prop Entry Anarchy, which I didn't have before, Zoning tool set. And then I think just a couple of little landscaping bits and pieces. Obviously I added a ton more assets, and Key Anarchy as well. So those are the kind of core main mods that we've added in. So the Softer Shadows, again, it just adds softer shadows, which is a nice visual aesthetic thing. But yeah, let's look at the road stuff, okay? So we've got the Fine Road tool right here. And obviously we've got Anarchy incorporated into that, so we've got like Anarchy, bending, snapping, collision, all the usual stuff that you have with Anarchy. I like the fact that if you turn Anarchy on now, instead of distorting, our Twitbird goes into a crazy mode, so that's quite a nice little change. Also got Straight Slope. Straight Slope is a really good tool. So basically, if I were to demonstrate, I don't really want to adjust the terrain, but basically, imagine that you have, oh, maybe I can do this. Okay, so let me just set this up to 5 meter. Hold on. It's going to make me really OCD. Right. So let's just build up at 5 and there. Okay. Now, if we have straight slope enabled, so we're back at ground level. Okay. So say we're coming along here and we have a road. Now, ordinarily, okay, see, if we have Anarchy enabled, that road is just going to basically go straight through like this, you see, and you create like a kind of weird little bridge. And there's different things you could do that to then kind of, you know, turn this into a bridge. And obviously this is raised up a little higher, but it's like a really cool way of creating kind of overpasses and stuff. Now, another thing to think of is, let's say you want to do like a railway cutting, or you want to just, for example, push a road through a piece of, you know, landscape or something like this, and you don't want it to follow the terrain up and down or all that kind of stuff. You just straight slope on it, it'll just cut through it. It's a really, really fantastic tool. So let's look at the other options we have on here, the modes. So we've got normal, which is of course normal. We have ground, which forces the ground to follow the road. I'll just demonstrate that. So if we start off here, just going up, and then let's say we want to go up 5 meters. Okay. Oh, look, it goes up 5 meters, and then it'll stay at that height. You want to go up 15? See? So it'll actually follow the road as you're building stuff. And of course you can do that kind of at different increments, however you want to build it. It can be very good for building, for example, like a railway line coming up to a bridge, or a road coming up to a bridge, or any of these kind of things. So that can be really a good tool, instead of having to use like landscaping tools to get the same effect, right? This one is just elevated forcing, so basically the same thing. It's just, but it creates like forced, you know, pieces like this instead of adapting, you know, with the default where it kind of tries to do like amalgamation between the ground and the force thing. Bridges, so again, like if there's bridge options or whatever. And then forced tunnel, so if you wanted to force to tunnel straight through something, then you would use that. So that's basically the fine road tools, and Anarchy and everything is just the same. Just, you know, tweaks it in and enables you to do some stuff. Okay, now let's look at some little decal elements and things like this. So this right here, little on-ramp marker. I've had these for a while, but I haven't actually used them yet. And it's one of these nice things. Now again, let's look at Move It. Okay, so with Move It, you can very nicely tweak, if you wish. So you can place this down, because when you place it by default, it's not particularly well aligned. But if you place it here like this, you can get it looking a lot nicer, right? So now it actually does look like a proper off-ramp. So I'm going to be placing those around, and then there's various other elements that you can place here that we can, you know, make this look a lot better with the barriers and stuff like this. Again, let's just live use some of these tools. Okay, so find it. Okay, so if we were to put in a barrier, okay, it gives us a load of these little concrete barriers, so you can put some things like that. But what about rail? Okay, so have different rail options, different fences, different truck elements and things like this. Little trailers, you know, get some little trailer park elements going on here. So there's all sorts of different things with that. Let's just put crash. I think it's under barrier. Okay, so it is under rail, it's just further down. So basically these things, okay, so you have guardrails. These are basically like sort of crash barrier elements. So if we have some of these are obviously very widely used on motorways, things like this. Now, the only issue is, of course, placing them one at a time. So what we're going to do with this? Well, by using, you can either use Prop and Tree Anarchy, turn that on, okay, and then we're going to be using the PLT, which is the Prop Line tool. Okay, so by using the Prop Line tool, I can take one of these, so by using the Prop Line tool, you can basically take one of those and stretch it out like this. Okay, so we could go from the edge of the road here or wherever we wanted to. So let's just do a very simple bit. Let's just go straight down here to this point, or we could even just use the free build one. So if we just come down here like this with our barrier. Now, one thing to note with the barrier is making sure you get it so that I guess the pole, the stand, is on the correct side of the road. So we place that down, and then see we can bend it around to like here if we want. So see how that bends nicely along the road, and then, you know, we can go in here like this, and we can finish that however we want to. We'll just do that for now, right? Now there are a load of options as well. Here's the control panel, so you can set the spacing of the elements and all different sort of things like this, various options, etc., etc. There's also the fence mode, okay, and that does have some implications for some things that you'll be placing down. And then it has all these basically like these finishing elements, okay, so the ends, different ends. Now you're probably going to want to place those just singularly. Find the correct one. So right here, so we can basically just go in and there you go, just put an end on it. Yeah, so it just looks kind of more, you know, realistic. Okay, now another thing that I'm going to be introducing is the central reservations. Now, central reservations, they just help the highway look a lot more realistic. And again, we can use Prop and Tree Anarchy. Now, notice the difference. Okay, so if I bring this along here, okay, that's fine. If I turn on fence mode, see, notice how it's slightly not right. It's a bit jaggedy as they connect. So the fence tool has, you know, various options. Basically, it works better with kind of fences and things like this. Okay, so again, we can use the free one if we want to. We can use the free form, and let's just grab this here. So let's just start it right here, and we can put various bits and pieces, different types of barrier in that we want to. And the good thing, of course, is that it, you know, sort of will stay and connect together. And you can usually be fairly effective with how these get placed. Of course, you want to try and make it so that they do actually a line, because you can see right now that this one is not being my friend. And that's okay. So, provided you do have the space to do so, even with prop and tree anarchy on. But this is just telling you it's like it's intersecting basically with that point. But most of the time you do have the ability to just kind of get this stuff down one way or another. So that straight away creates a more kind of realistic look to our motorway right there. Okay, and as I say, you know, this can be all sort of tweaked as we go along. So let's just do a little bit of move it adjustments here. Now again, I made one small change here. Just earlier on today I was just tweaking and trying to get some of my road junctions working a little bit better. Okay, now another thing that I've decided to do, this is not related to mods, but one thing I'm going to make, I think, a fairly standard change is with lane connections and on-ramps. So basically, as you know, very often when roads are coming on, you get issues like this, where these guys in the right-hand lane are coming in, and a lot of the other issue as well is that a lot of the traffic is coming in and wanting to go, you know, off into that other lane straight away. So in order to facilitate and make sure there's no sort of slowing down or just looking weird, what I would do is change it up, like where the traffic has to be, maybe a little bit further down the line, like here. So what we'll do is we'll basically say to the outside lane, you've got to stay in the outside lane. We'll say to the middle lane, you've got to stay in the middle, or you can move to the outside. And we'll say to the inside lane, you have to move to the middle lane. Okay, and then the next one down as well. So then this lane should not be used at all. We should just say, okay, you can either go straight on, okay, or you can change lanes. Okay, and they shouldn't be using this one at all. And then again, same here at this point, we want them to just be going straight on. We don't want them changing lane at all. Now the other thing is that we want to be altering this section here, and again, they should be going straight on only. They shouldn't be changing lane there. And this one should only be coming in onto the inside lane. After that, don't give a damn what they do. I mean, arguably you could make it so that they can't immediately start changing lanes just for the smoothness of traffic flow. So you could just say to them like, hey, okay, you know, as you come on immediately onto the road, you can only stay in those 3 lanes. And then, look, okay, when you get to the next one, you could make some simple 1-lane changes, like that. And then after that, do whatever you like. So that way, we're just going to facilitate smooth running. Now, I would have to run the game for quite a while for that to take effect, because, again, remember, a lot of the traffic basically preset their destinations. So once they know where they're going, the entire route is worked out for them. Any changes that you're making to the road system, you know, as you come along, are not going to be visualized straight away. It will take a little while. But there was another place further down the city where that was, you know, actually taking effect. So I'll just show you that. So this right here was another junction in the city where we actually changed this up. So I'm going to try and get the camera a little further back here. So right here you can see how they change into the left-hand lane to prevent, see how they keep changing left, and that is enabling the traffic coming in on the right. See, these trucks, anything coming in on that inside lane moves across to the outside lane. And so that simply means, a little bit dangerous driving right there, it simply means that any oncoming traffic onto the road, look, doesn't have to slow down, doesn't have to stop, apart from these guys here, because we've got a bit of traffic build up right here, a bit of merging on the lanes. If we had a full-size highway, this wouldn't be a problem, because I could actually have like a sort of stepped... You could actually do what you do like when you're joining motorways in the UK, where you actually have like a stepped connection to the motorway. So like, for example, on the M25 in London, it's a 4-lane highway, and what you would be doing right there is, with a 4-lane highway, you basically have it so that the inside, the very inside lane, the slow traffic lane, would basically, that would just over time bleed into the inside lane. The second lane in would have a more direct connection to the road. But you can see it's working very, very well. So this is going to be one of my plans that I will roll out across most of the highway connections, but also it's something to keep in mind, I think, for many road connections to just continue to enable traffic to run smoothly. So that's a good thing. It's a nice change, and something I'm going to be using across everything. And you can see again the sort of the highway divider right here, and that's working really well. One last thing I'll say, guys, I forgot actually, in the options of prop line tool, it's actually really important, prop line tool anarchy. You generally want to put that on, I think, because basically if you have that on, what that means is, you were seeing before that I was getting some notifications I couldn't place items in certain areas. So if you have that on, and this is one thing which is always fun, is trying to connect these back up and make them look smooth. Yeah, so this is one thing that's always funny, trying to line these up. But yeah, we're getting those notifications, look, that we're actually encroaching in on other stuff. We don't really want to care about that, right? So when you have prop line tool anarchy on, it means that you can build just however you like, and it doesn't really have any effect on the stuff that's going in here. It's actually quite a nice way for that crash barrier to finish by sort of slowly receding into the ground look. And that's just because of the ground's sort of natural elevation, actually. So that actually works really good for me. So yeah, there we go. So that's a little change there also with that. So again, let's come back to move it. So let's just tweak one of these junctions here. Now, this was something which was always annoying. When you were trying to make a connection down, and you could just see like this, that it's having this kind of really horrible acute feeling. Now you can pause it, although it does work live as well, but you always get a bit of frame loss, I think. But basically, if you just take that node, when you've got move enabled, and we can just tweak that. We can literally just tweak it. We can just move it around however we want to. Now we can just change this like this if we want. Like I say, you can select multiple nodes, but really we can just kind of, you just sort of try to make sure. And again, with the elevation of these things, this one probably wants to just wants to come up a little bit. The next one up probably wants to come down just a little bit. So we can just kind of tweak these together to just make them look a little better. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be getting really OCD about stuff, although I probably will. But it doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to happen. But it does mean that there's sometimes just very irritating little glitches, like stuff like that, which are just really irritating, and you just would prefer to be able to alter them. And so now you actually have the option to do that, which is really, really good. Right, so let's look at some other aesthetic stuff. Right, so here we are over in the city, and there are a couple of, this is like by the water treatment facility in our disaster centres, and there are a couple of core changes that I have made. So this is the main town's, I guess, railway system area, okay? And you can see that what I have done is I have created a more railway-looking railway. So let's actually just play on here. Huge, God, look how many people use our railway system. What's this Subaru guy doing? He's just doing donuts in the dirt. Look at this guy. Typical Subaru Impreza driver right there. But yeah, so what we've done is, you can see I've created like a little siding area right here with a signal box and a couple of trucks and so on and so on. And a little, side road here. This train's still coming in. We've added some decals to the ground, added some concrete here, added some chain link fencing here. I've adjusted the parking zone and just put some decals down on that. Over here we've added in some chain link fencing because the public, they're not going to be getting in to that railway area as just like in real life. Okay, we have tweaked and adjusted the footbridge going over here, and again, as you can see, like I say, chain link fencing which goes all the way along. Where the hell are you going, my friend? Absolutely cavalier behaviour right there, unacceptable. But yeah, so we've on this tree. Look again, you see, I'm going to be making a lot of tree adjustments, I think. But yeah, the chain link fencing runs all the way along, and then you can see also we've also got these different rail crossing sections now, which I much prefer. These things, the barriers work and everything, they're absolutely fantastic. I'll just speed up, see if we can actually get a train through, so we can see the barriers come down. There we go, so nice little barriers there. Okay, now back towards the rail yard, and you can see here that our rail station working very nicely, and I just really like the look and feel of this adapted station. And there's going to be a lot of changes like that where I make these little aesthetic updates. But there is another change we made, which is also here. I'm trying to be very careful in not showing off too much. Now here is our cargo terminal, and you can see that I have adapted the cargo terminal. I'm not finished yet with this by any means, but this was a change I've done. I'm getting a bit of glitching here because I'm using a bit of... you can see right here we've created a change up with the cargo terminal. Okay, I've got a little siding right here which runs across. That's actually live as well, so you can potentially get trains coming in and out of this. There's a hopper here of some ore or coal or something like this, and there's a couple of loading stations basically. And then we've got a load of container works here, and the guys operating on the container works. And so just kind of, it feels much more like an actual cargo terminal instead of what we had before, which is all we had before was just that one block. So that was all we had before. Okay, here comes one of the cargo trains. There's actually two coming in at once right now. Now, one thing that you can do, of course, and you can see both these trains are very, very long. Okay, both these trains are extremely long. So you can go into the settings of the station. You can actually select which trains will arrive at your station, which is really, really good. I think I'll actually disable that cargo one now. So you can choose which trains are going to come. So you can have the long versions or you can have the short versions. So you could basically, so I've got these short ones selected. So we should only be getting short sets of trains coming in instead of the really, really long trains come in. So again, depending on the style of station that you have built, that will look more or less appropriate. Now, one other change that we made is you can see here at the garbage dumps, and also I've made some changes in the industry area. So you can see the garbage dumps right here. I've just added in some machinery, which is at the large dump over there. Just makes this look like a more worked area. But again, in decals, you can see I've added in some little decals here, some little some tyre tracks and dirt just kind of all around, spilling around this area. And again, we've updated the industry area here a little bit. So over here specifically, so this area right here was this was the backlot between, this was the space, like the green space, much like here. Okay, so we just had a bit of space behind these factories and industry. So what I did was I just used the surface painter tool to paint in that concrete. Okay, so basically, again, just like usual, you just paint that concrete in, right? So just paint that concrete in. And then I've just added in some decals of like tyre marks and workings, and it's getting dark, so that's a bit annoying. We can see we've added in like the loading zones right here. Okay, so the loading zones, we've added in like a little guard station right here. Of course, it's getting to night time, but basically you can see this just kind of adds more of an actual industry vibe. And you can see I've got like a little chain link fence gate at the front here for any traffic coming in and out, but chain link fence all the way around. So that's like a great little way again to sort of make these industry areas feel actually more industry. There's our metro hub. Because I always had an issue with the industry stuff. I always felt like the industry stuff was never particularly interesting, because more often than not it's just ploppable elements. It's just, the kind of generic stuff which is generated. And I do have a good amount of assets now in terms of industry stuff, and I've actually selected a load more buildings and things which I can just place down to add variety into the industry areas. And again, I think with the industry areas it's important to not just place, very much like forestry, it's very important to not just place all of your zoning together, not just place every single zoned area. You want to create space between them so that you can actually develop and do stuff yourself, things like this. So for example, we've got the garbage centre here. Now all of this space, if we were to go to zoning, right, you can see all of this space here is not zoned at all. Okay, and the same over here, like, we've got the metro station, but there's a little bit of space here which is not zoned. So again, important to not zone places so that you can create space. For one thing, that helps you regulate traffic, so you don't have too much traffic coming into the area, because the more business, the actual more property that's there, then the more traffic that's going to generate. And then secondly, it enables you to be more aesthetic and make some little changes there. So the last thing I'm going to say, guys, is that obviously whilst we're playing, many of these things will come up, and many of my aesthetic elements as well will come up. But one thing that I just wanted to say was, I think that what I will do is every stream I will do after the stream or before the next stream, I will do like an off-stream aesthetic episode, like a beautification episode basically, and I'll post that here on YouTube. I think it'll be good for me to do it off-stream, because sometimes there's stuff which takes a lot of consideration. There's stuff where I might have to think about it or try something out and then change it. we obviously have whole episodes of me changing roads and things on the stream itself, but I think it would be good from the beautification aesthetic element for me to be able to basically just say, like, you know, okay, I'm gonna spend like 4 hours on this, but I'm gonna cut it down to like half an hour episode or something like that. That would be a good thing to do. I think it'd be more enjoyable for you guys to watch as an episode. Yeah, so that's where I am with things. Now, the other thing I want to ask you about is what you guys feel about me doing, not yet, but in perhaps the next month or so, starting up a separate non-streamed Skylines playthrough or build. The only thing is, whilst I'm going to be working full time, I will of course have you know, still time limitations. I keep saying I don't have time for this, time for that. Got to be careful I don't just say I've got more time for everything, right? Because there's other games that I do want to throw onto this channel, and if I end up playing Skylines too much, then I won't have time to do those other things. So I'm not sure. Maybe doing a whole other build, or maybe it's more the case that the other build that I do, it's just a much slower series. You know, maybe it's the kind of thing where instead of you guys actually seeing loads of the build, like literally start to finish the build, because again, it would be off stream, so it's almost unnecessary for people to see all of the build elements, because I wouldn't be talking about everything that I was doing. Okay, so here we are. Like, we can see the shorter cargo trains now coming in. Look, okay, and here's a log train. Okay, so again, just those shorter cargo trains looking a lot more kind of in keeping with the size of station we have here. But if we just built a bigger station, right, then it would work. Putting those containers on the log tray. Yeah, so I think what would be good to do is do like a series, bit of a road issue here. It's always that it's going down. We need to sort that out. Yeah, but basically it would be more of a kind of an off-stream series which I play myself. Maybe I do like one sort of overview video every 2 weeks, you know, something like that. Like one nice, real, you know, 45-minute overview video of 2 weeks where I just show what I did in that time, and you know, because then I can just sit down, play when I want to, record, grab, or just record elements where I think it'll be interesting, and so on and so on. You know, I think that could be a cool thing. So there's a few things I want to experiment with, basically, is what I'm saying. But it's all good. It's all coming up. It's all changing, and I hope you like these, you know, aesthetic tweaks that we're going to be doing into the thing. Because, you know, I love the build, but sometimes things do look a bit vanilla in terms of just the look and feel of the whole map, and I do want to get in and tweak it. Now, I don't want to go overboard at the same time. You know, I don't want to be spending 3 hours just designing one thing, but I do think it's good to kind of throw these beautification elements in. Helps our city feel just a bit more real, a bit more lived in, and it just be a bit more fun as well. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please tell me your thoughts down below. As always, if you like, drop a little like, and I'll see you guys next time for some more City Skylines.